会骗，内股没清扬，没酒吧有心压强强，给人家白狗在家。许多培养不没代表，太阳没给太阳呀，谁能总我今马上在家。阿莫奈西港的那点亮美好呀一年，阿莫奈靠着从亮亮，亮啦就搞莫奈，阿莫奈一起玩啊，让人结局无缘不啊，因为生活本长假，写把无缘目送啦，得好欢你是感动你家，得好才下是感就你家。打工呀，东说西点点，功课呀啦，就下呀跳，送往机哦，那早班两相在家。新生冇目标，手机不做了，来头你为木看木为阿郎啊，终于讲归我就半万样在唱在唱。阿莫奈靠着从亮亮，他在说就下我。阿莫奈一起玩啊，让人结局无缘不啊，因为生活本长假，写把无缘目送啦，得好欢你是感动你家，得好才下是感就你家。你讲你这个的本长假，写把无缘目送啦，得好欢你是感动你家，得好才下是感就你家，你们买讲话点点听，轻轻手啦莫送呀，得好欢你是感动你家，得好才下是感就你家。
Hello and welcome to In Taiwan We Speak, your audio guide to Taiwan's mind-blowing linguistic diversity. I am Alexander Shin, and today in Taiwan we speak Matsu, or Mayua, or Bangwa. It's the native language of Taiwan's outlying islands of Matsu, just off the coast of China. Matsu is considered by many as a subdialect of the Fuzhou dialect of the Eastern Min languages. This makes Matsu a truly unique member of Taiwan's linguistic landscape, as no other national language of Taiwan belongs to this language group. Language is, of course, inseparable from its speaking community, their culture, and politics. After 1949, political separation from mainland China led to the development of a distinct Matsu linguistic identity, and of course, by extension, a distinct identity of its residents. I am joined today by Eva Tsao, or Tsao Chen-ying. Eva is a Matsu native and an educator. She's also the host of the YouTube channel Chami Dian, where she shares insights into the Matsu Islands, their culture, food, and of course, language. Hi, Eva. It's a real pleasure having you here.
Hi.
So, Eva, that very wonderful song we heard in the beginning, which I know is of your own writing.
Yeah.
Please tell me more about it.
Okay, sure. The song is called Daily Life. I wrote it in the Matsu dialect to capture what today's high school students go through in their everyday lives. You might ask, why not write about your own teenage years? Well, when I was in high school, we didn't even have smartphones, no line, no constant group chats. But I wanted to write about the present and let the language evolve with the younger generation, to show that our dialogue isn't stuck in the past, but can still speak to what people are feeling right now. So there is a lyric that goes, 秋豆培养，薄梅叠冰. It means got some coins in my hand. Yeah, got some coins in my hand means I'm going to buy oyster fritters. It's a famous snack in Matsu. So there's lyric that goes, 秋豆培养，薄梅叠冰. So it's such a small everyday thing, but it says so much about life here. These ordinary moments carry real emotions. Sometimes life feels boring. You wake up, go to school, come home, same routine every day. And the daily life, you start to think, oh, school is so exhausting. Or why is everything so dull? So one line in the song says, I just wish for more time I enjoy and less of the time I don't. It's simple, but I think it hits home. When life feels repetitive, your mind starts wonder. You wish the good moments would linger a little longer, and the annoying, stressful ones would just hurry up and pass. Yeah.
These are very beautiful lyrics.
So I wrote this in my native tongue, but I also invite local high school students to join in the performance. So because this song isn't just mine, it's our daily life.
It's a very beautiful composition. Thank you so much for bringing it on our show and for, of course, explaining the meaning behind it. I think it's very beautiful how you weave everyday elements like food, snacks that students enjoy on the way into your aspirations about the dialect that you speak. Now, first things first, you suggested in our pre-interview that you would like us to start this conversation with the phrase, I am from Matsu.
Yeah, in our local language, we say Ma Yu Ne. We say means I am.
I am.
Ne means Matsu person.
Ne means person.
Person.
Right.
So it's a deep and emotional declaration of identity. So growing up like many kids from Matsu who went to school in Taiwan, I was nicknamed Little Ma or Big Ma or simply the Matsu girl. So my classmates in high school in Taipei, in New Taipei City, used to call me Matsu person very directly. Conversations with new friends or classmates would always lead to questions about home. What's Matsu like? Or what do you have there? Or do you speak Taiwanese? So back then, I don't really speak the Matsu dialect fluently. I could say a few simple words like eat, 谢, thank you, 下了, and to be honest, a few phrases I'd only heard when my parents were scolding me. So I would tell people Matsu has mountains and sea. Matsu has Matsu people, and we speak the Matsu language. It wasn't until 2020 I truly picked it up again. The pandemic grounded me. So I asked myself, isn't now the perfect time to learn Matsu? That's when I started my channel called Chami亚店, which in Matsu dialect means Chami is me. Chami is a handful. It became a space where I documented my learning journey and commit to producing a new episode every week.
It's a very interesting channel, by the way.
Thank you. As a promise to myself and to others, showing the world that I was serious about learning Matsu. So when I say Ma Yu Ne, I'm from Matsu, I'm not just saying where I'm from. I'm affirming a personal journey of reclaiming my language, my confidence, and my home.
So what is the current situation with this language or this dialect, if you wish? How widely is it spoken, and what is the environment, the speaking environment like on the Matsu Islands?
Yeah, so Matsu language or Banwa is facing some serious challenges today. Like many regional languages, it's slowly fading as Mandarin becomes the dominant language in schools, media, and daily life. Older generations still speak it fluently, but among younger people, it's used less and less. Some kids can't even understand it because they don't hear it often enough. There are local language classes in schools now, which is great, but the real question is, how do we make sure Matsu language or Banwa doesn't just stay inside the classroom? How can we get people to use it at home, with friends, in everyday conversations? Right now, the language is really at a tipping point. If we don't speak it, it will quickly disappear.
And you mentioned that it is in classrooms, right? And I think this is what will surprise many of our listeners. But to clarify, Matsu is a national language of Taiwan, right? It was recognized as one of Taiwan's national languages back in 2019, and it enjoys this status, and therefore it is taught in schools. And we'll talk about education a little bit later, but I forgot to ask you in the previous question. You grew up in Matsu, but then you moved to New Taipei for school. Is that right?
Yeah, to be honest, I wasn't very familiar with the Matsu language at first. It felt a bit distant, but in 2020, I decided it was time to take it seriously. So I set a small goal for myself, produce a weekly audio show to motivate myself to learning by doing. So my method was pretty simple and very much home-based. I would write a short dialogue between two characters using words I want to learn. Then I'd hand the script to my mom and ask her to record in the Matsu dialect. I'd listen to her voice again and again, memorizing the lines. During this process, she would also teach me how certain expressions are used in real-life situations and share the cultural meanings behind them. So, give you an example. For example, in one episode, I wanted to learn how to describe body pain in Matsu.
Body pain.
Body pain, yeah. Like head pain, yeah. So when going through the dialect, my mom told me that people don't say doctor in Matsu. Ilan doctor. We don't say doctor in Matsu. But Iwan. Iwan means a term from the wartime period when most doctors were military personnel. So that's when I realized language doesn't just communicate it carries history and culture. And I keep creating and practice week after week. My speech grows more fluent, but more importantly, I keep making discoveries. I learned that the Matsu language isn't just spoken, it has a written form. Rooted in Fuzhou dialect, Matsu retains features of class Chinese while also developing unique local expression after decades of separation from mainland China. I also noticed that some words are slowly fading away over time. I began digging into these older terms and exploring how they reflect past lifestyles and how they might still be relevant today. This process was more than language learning. It became a way for me to rebuild my own sense of cultural belongings. I wanted to be able to talk my elders in like my grandmothers. I want to talk to her in our own dialect. But along the way, I also came to realize some things quietly fade over time unless we actively preserve them. Learning the language became a way of keeping the culture alive. It tied into my belief in self-directed learning. I've never been a model student. I don't enjoy the traditional question and answer test-based learning system. So I believe language is meant for connection, not perfection. So yeah, even though my early attempts at speaking Matsu sounds weird to some, they still got the message across. If my way of learning can serve as a model, I wanted it to say this to myself and to others. There's no single standard for learning. Yeah.
Beautifully put. Language for connection, not for perfection.
Yeah.
We did mention that you are a host of a YouTube channel, and it's one of very few YouTube channels of this kind coming out of Matsu Islands, which talks about Matsu all the time. It's called Chami Yadian,
Yeah,
right?
Chami Yadian.
It's a very interesting title. Could you guide us through why did you choose this name? Why did you choose to open this YouTube channel? And what is that you talk about on your channel?
First, I'm so glad you find the name Chami story interesting. Actually, the name reflects both a personal story and a deeper meaning. Chami is my name, nickname, and Yadian means annoying in Matsu dialect. So when I first started learning the Matsu dialect, I was often said for speaking poorly. People would say, "You speak so badly, it's annoying, stop talking." In Matsu dialect, Chami Yadian means that. So it means it's hard to deal with. So which in a way perfectly describes my stubborn way to learning my mother tongue. Yeah. The program started out as a kind of audio diary documenting my learning journey. During the first 6 months, I produced short audio dialogues, just me practicing basic conversations. Then, as I became more comfortable speaking, even if not yet fluent, I began using video to document my questions, observations, and reflections about Matsu. This led to a few different content series like Daily Life in Matsu, Learning with Chami, Brunch with Guests, and Traveling in Matsu. One of the most popular series is Daily Life in Matsu. For example, in one video, I documented my trip to Fuzhou via the mini 3 links. So it's a policy that allows direct transport from Taiwan's offshore islands like Matsu and Kinmen
to parts of China.
To the nearby cities in mainland China. So Matsu to Fuzhou or Kinmen to Xiamen, like that.
And you've traveled to Fuzhou.
Yeah, to Fuzhou. So for us in Matsu, it's a very common form of cross-strait travel. In that video, I used the Matsu dialect throughout, from taking the ferry to exploring Fuzhou. I think one reason that video resonates with people is because it reflects a shared everyday experience for Matsu locals, something very familiar, yet rarely recorded in our own language. I want to show people that Matsu is not just a formal military zone or a tourist spot. It's a living place, full of language, stories, and everyday life.
That's exactly right, because most people, especially people from outside Taiwan, if they hear Matsu or Kinmen for that matter, they would think of, military and war and politics and cross-strait relations. Very few people have actual imagination of what kind of place that is, what the people are like, what the culture is like, what the landscape is like. So if you had a chance to describe to our listeners, especially those outside of Taiwan, what your native islands look like, how would you describe them?
You mean to who have never been there?
Exactly.
Yeah. If you are never been to Matsu, let me start with a phrase people who once served in the military used to say. It goes 穷山恶水 奸商刁民狗官烂兵. It means 穷山恶水 means poor mountains, harsh waters, greedy merchants, tricky locals, corrupt officials, and and low-sea soldiers.
Low-sea soldiers.
So it sounds pretty harsh, doesn't it? But in a way, it captures Matsu's rough edge, its history as a remote military outpost, and its deeply real, unfilled character. The so-called poor mountains and harsh waters actually describe the very things that make Matsu unique. Thick fog and steep rocky landscapes have shaped its stone houses and hillside villages. You will hear the ocean crashing in the early morning, taste the salt in the air, and catch snips of the local dialect as elders trade in the marketplace at dusk. Matsu may not charm you at a first glance, but if you give it a little more time, you just might discover how quite fascinating it is.
It is truly fascinating from the way you describe it. I can almost imagine myself being there. And I think in the nearest future, I'm definitely going to book a flight and travel to Matsu. I think it's less than an hour of a flight, right?
Yeah,
to get
it's 15 minutes.
50 minutes.
Yeah.
All right. Wow. That was a very beautiful description of Eva's native islands of Matsu. And with that, we've run towards the end of our episode for today. But of course, we do not end our chat with Eva here. Join us next week as we continue our conversation about Matsu, the Matsu language and its speaking community. Thank you, Eva, and thank you everyone for tuning in. My name is Oleg, and until next week.